Okay, so here's a demo on how to do some of the basic recording with GarageBand. GarageBand is some pretty powerful software. It comes free with all Macintosh computers, and when you combine it with something like the M-Box, you've got basically a complete digital recording studio. Any of the equipment that we used to use before, like the analog mixing console and the cassette decks and the tape decks, all of that is replaced by everything that's either inside the computer or in the M-Box. The M-Box plays a really critical role because it allows us to connect analog instruments like a microphone or a guitar. We can connect those analog instruments to our digital computer. Okay? The M-Box also takes care of sending the signal from the computer to your speakers. So on the back of the M-Box there's a USB port that connects to the camera, or the computer rather, and then we've got audio outputs that head to our amplifier and speakers. Okay, so we need both of them for this to work. Here's the startup screen for GarageBand. We just asked to make a new project. GarageBand has some different templates that you can use depending on which type of project that you're creating. In this case, we can opt for either loops or voice. It really doesn't matter. I tend to go for loops as just an old standby. So I'll click choose. GarageBand would like you to save your file before you start working on it. I really like programs that do this, because then I don't forget to not save. I'm going to save in this case under my home folder under music. Before I move on, this is a really good point. Don't try and save or edit audio recordings or video recordings onto USB. So you'll notice right now that there's a USB plug into the back of this computer. Don't try and record your audio straight onto there. Don't even save your GarageBand file onto there. Okay? Save it onto the hard drive first. When you're done at the end of the period, then if you want from the Finder, go ahead and copy onto the USB. Okay? But don't try and record onto USB. It won't keep up. Okay? I'm going to call this demo. Replace a previous project. And this is the blank screen that we get in GarageBand. I'll quickly take you through it. This area up in the top here, okay, you can think of this like a stage. This is where we're going to be moving all of our different sound files to. Okay. We've got the option down at the bottom here. These are some playback controls. So we've got a play button, fast forward, rewind, loop, start from the beginning. We've got a record button here. Here's the window that shows us our counter, and this is a really important point. I'm going to zoom in a bit here. For the counter, by default, GarageBand sets up the counter in bars and measures. Is anybody here a musician? Okay. So if you look at this and we say, and you wait for the number 30 to show up here, say for 30 bars, that may not have anything to do with 30 seconds, depends on the tempo. So what you should do here, move out of bars and measures, change it to, musical, or just time, absolute time. Okay? So we can switch between bars and measures and time. Go with hours, minutes, and seconds. It even goes down to hundredths of a second. Okay? Here we're going to be able to monitor the output level. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. Please don't worry about this volume control in GarageBand. If you need to adjust the volume, you're going to use this monitor button on the M-Box. Okay? This is your volume control monitor. Okay. If you start adjusting it here, you could run into problems later. Couple more points at the screen here. Here we've got the ability to move between a couple different workspaces. I can view the different looping sounds that are available to me. Okay. I can browse for different sounds or photos that might be on this computer through iPhoto or iTunes. And I can also get more detailed track info. So we'll see how this panel works in a moment. If we want to try making a new voice recording, okay, we're going to start by clicking on this little symbol in the bottom corner to create a new track. And at this point, GarageBand wants to know, what type of new track is this? Are we recording something like the USB keyboard or the MIDI keyboard? Or are we recording a real instrument such as a voice or microphone? Okay. Or are we recording something more like an electric guitar? Click off real instrument for a voice recording. Okay. Create. Now we can see that GarageBand's created a new track. It's listed here as a new track. The track has a few of its own little controls here. The ability to enable or disable recording. We're going to keep that enabled for now. We can also mute the track solo, which means it will mute the other tracks and just play this on its own. We can also lock it down if we need to. And we'll look at this automation in a moment. So to create a really basic voice recording, we need to set the recording level. We don't want the sound to be too high or too low, okay? We want it to be clear. We don't want to have to turn the volume up too high. So how do we set the recording level? Well, you can notice already, and if I move closer to the microphone, you can see a green bar right here. Okay, I'll zoom in a bit closer. This green bar is an audio level meter. So the higher it moves, the higher the audio level, the lower it moves, the lower the level. Right now it's far too low. Okay, I can tell because it's just fluttering in the green. If I start to turn it up, and I can do that in the M box right here, if I turn the microphone up, I'll go way too high. Now we can see that the level meter is moving quite a bit, and in fact it's a little too high now. Okay, I can see it peaking into the red, and I can also see the peak light on the M box working. Okay, so it's too loud. So I would need to turn it down until I see the peak light come on from time to time on the M box, and I see a nice strong level, okay, in the on the level meter here, but I don't see it going too loud. That's still a bit too soft. There, I probably wouldn't go any higher than that. Okay. The final thing, just before we make this first recording, you'll notice that there are two level meters here, but only one of them are working. That's because we have one microphone plugged into the M box, and we want to get sound out of both speakers. You might have heard of stereo and mono sound. Mono means the same sound out of both left and right speaker. So we need to tell GarageBand right down in the bottom corner down here, and this is a critical step. You want to change this from stereo to mono. And in this case, on the back of the M box, the microphone is plugged into channel 2. So I'm going to ask to use only channel 2 from the M box in mono. Okay. Now, when I look at the audio level meters, you'll notice they're both moving up and down, left and right. Okay, so if you want to record in stereo, use that mono option here. Okay. Just before I start recording, and this is an important point too, it's not a karaoke system. So at no point should you hear your voice over the speakers while you're recording. Okay, you can end up with feedback that way, that high-pitched feedback. So I'm going to start my recording by turning the speakers off to make sure I don't get any feedback. Okay. I'll check my audio level again, it looks okay. And to start recording, I can just press this red button. Okay, and GarageBand is recording right now, and I can see a waveform being created here. Okay, and this waveform is a graphic display of the volume of the sound. It doesn't tell us anything about the pitch of the sound, it's just the volume. Okay? If my recording level is way too low, I'll move away from the microphone, and you can see there's barely any waveform here. Okay, far too low. If I'm moving quite close to the microphone, now you can see that the waveform is much higher, and it's actually cut off at the top and bottom. Okay? It's peaking, it's too high, it's distorted, it sounds almost crunchy or muffled sounding. If I move back to about the same point I had when I set the microphone earlier, here's a normal waveform. Okay, I can see it fluctuating, and it's changing with the volume of my voice. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording there by hitting the red button. I'm going to go back to the beginning of my recording, and if I want to play this back, first I'm going to disable the track. So I'm not going to record to it accidentally, I'm not going to hear any feedback. I can turn the speakers up, I'll press play. This red button. Okay, and GarageBand is recording right now, and I can see a waveform being created here. Okay, and this waveform is a graphic display of the volume of the sound. Watch what happens here when we get to the lower area. It's just the volume. Okay, if my recording level is way too low, I'll move away from the microphone. I haven't touched the volume here, but you can hear it drop. Watch how loud it gets here. Far too low. If I'm moving quite close to the microphone, now you can see that the waveform is much higher, and it's actually cut off at the top and bottom. Okay, it's peaking, it's too high, it's distorted, it sounds almost crunchy or crunchy kind of sounding. Guitar players will use distortion pedals to give their guitars that crunchy kind of sound, but we don't want it in the recording studio. So the better volume is something. Okay, I can see it fluctuating, and it's changing with the volume. Now what's neat about this waveform is I can do different things with it in terms of editing. I can move the whole track forward in time or backward in time. I might decide I only want the very end of this track. So I can actually split the track. If I go under edit, I can split the track right here. So now I've got two parts. I could choose to delete that front part, just press the delete key. I can move this back to the beginning of my recording. Okay, and if I play it through, of my voice. I can trim the edge of the track right here. So if I sit with a cursor here toward the edge but not on it, I can use that to sort of reveal or hide like a measuring tape almost. And if you were in Word and you wanted to copy and paste something, what would you do? Command C, Command V, right? Copy, paste. So I can do the same here with sound. So I can copy that, I can paste it, okay, paste it again, and guess what we're going to hear?
Of my voice. Of my voice. Of my voice.
Okay, you get it. So this is non-linear recording. It means we don't have to move, forward in time in a straight line fashion. We can move back and forward in time, cut, splice, and edit. Okay, makes it much easier than recording to cassette. So I've got here a sample radio script, okay, and it's got the correct formatting. Pay particular attention on the formatting. Things like sound effects get a solid or a dotted underline. Music gets a solid underline. You'll notice we've got clearly established columns here. Okay, set up your script like this one. It makes it easy when you start to record. Okay, because at a glance I can tell I have 3 sound effects, some music to put in the background, and only 3 lines to record. So I've got my script in front of me. I've got a track here. I'm going to arm it, turn down the volume so I don't get any feedback. Check my audio level again. Check 1, 2, 3. Make sure my level's okay. It seems okay. I'll go back in time. And I'll give this recording a try. Here we go. Here's a recording for the M&M Tack Shop, 30-second radio commercial, take 1. Boy, I sure do enjoy these long summer nights on the farm. But not nearly as much as I enjoy my days on the farm, especially now that I've discovered the M&M Tack Shop. If you're looking for a wide variety of equestrian products for you and your horse, stop in and visit the M&M Tack Shop, located at 763 Tumblewood Lane in beautiful downtown Uxbridge. I hope to see you there.
Okay. That was awesome.
So, we've got a first recording down. Let's see if we can hear anything here. So I'm going to disable the track for recording, turn up the volume again, and let's hear what we've got.
Here's a recording for the M&M Tack Shop, 30-second radio commercial, take 1. Boy, I sure do enjoy these long summer nights on the farm. But not nearly as much as I enjoy my days on the farm, especially now that I've discovered the M&M Tack Shop. If you're looking for a wide variety of equipment...
Not bad. There are a couple spots just in here where I think it might have been a bit too loud, and particularly this first line at the very beginning. Okay, so that's not a problem. What I can do here, I'm just going to come to the end of the track, and I'm just going to record that first line again. Hear that ticking sound? That's a metronome. Okay, I should have turned that off earlier, so if you head under control, you can turn the metronome off. It's great if you're recording an instrument to keep time, but I don't need it right now. I'm going to turn the volume down too. So here is that first line again. Here's line number 1, take 1. Boy, I sure do enjoy these long summer nights on the farm. Take 2. Boy, I sure do enjoy these long summer nights on the farm. Take 3. Boy, I sure do enjoy these long summer nights on the farm. Okay, I think I like that last one. Let's hear the last one. Turn the volume back up.
Boy, I sure do enjoy these long summer nights on the farm.
Okay, that one's got a nice expression. So again, I can just split the track right here.